Greetings, I'm Dr. Sherilyn Morrow, the Outreach Director for the NASA PUNCH mission, the polarimeter to unify the corona and heliosphere. My co-author is the mission PI for this heliophysics mission, Dr. Craig DeForest. Our presentation will offer you a taste of how we are realizing the unique benefits of an outreach program being closely integrated with a NASA mission like PUNCH. Here's our outreach logo and outreach motto: shining a light on diverse views of the sun with our ancient and modern sun watching theme. The ancient dimension of our theme is strongly connected to Chaco Canyon. Chaco is a World Heritage Site in New Mexico with a world-class collection of evidence for ancient sun watching. I've been privileged to serve as a volunteer interpretive ranger there for about 15 years. And one of my very favorite places to do public programs is home to this ancestral Puebloan petroglyph shown at the left there. This may be a representation of a stormy solar corona during the 1097 total solar eclipse, which had occurred at a time of high solar activity. This interpretation of the petroglyph was first reported by a University of Colorado press release just before the 2017 total solar eclipse. And the story was picked up by both Scientific American and Smithsonian. The upcoming 2024 eclipse will also occur at a time of high solar activity, and this will make this petroglyph newsworthy again. Current NASA videos offer the standard Western narrative, which says that hand drawings like the one in the central image made during the 1860 eclipse were the first to record an active solar corona. But PUNCH Outreach intends to work with NASA and Native partners to amend this narrative with the possibility that the Chaco residents recorded an active corona as rock art 700 years earlier. I'd like to say a little bit more about what the PUNCH mission is and why we should care. The charged particle flow from the sun that we call the solar wind defines the heliosphere. This is the region of space influenced by the sun. This heliosphere extends out beyond the orbit of Pluto until it kind of peters out at the boundary with interstellar space. But PUNCH is focused on the inner heliosphere between sun and Earth. The 4 PUNCH cameras in Earth orbit will allow 3D imaging of the solar wind from the outer solar corona all the way to Earth orbit. And this will allow the corona and solar wind of the inner heliosphere to be studied as a unified system for the first time. And this has obvious implications for storm tracking and space weather monitoring in an unprecedented way. A little more about our ancient and modern sun watching theme. You see the 3 components of it there. Our outreach theme wants to make heliophysics missions and NASA sun science relevant to diverse learners via personal and cultural connections to sun watching. So this is a really important research-based benefit of a thematic approach to outreach. The ancient sun watching dimension and the Chaco connection help with the cultural relevance, and the first person sun watching dimension helps with that personal element. Our Navajo consultant, Ms. Verna Tolsot, is on the advisory board for PUNCH, and her quote demonstrates how much she appreciates our outreach theme, and in particular, the invitation for young people to be personally and culturally present for sunrise and sunset. Mr. Joe Aragon is a retired STEM educator from Acapulco Pueblo and is one of our key consultants for PUNCH Outreach. He's shown here at the overlook of Chaco's world-renowned Pueblo Bonito, sharing with students about the ancestral connections to Chaco that they are part of. There are more than 20 tribes in the Four Corners regions who have ancestral and historical ties to Chaco, and Chaco is also connected to the history of Hispanic people via the indigenous cultures of Mexico. I was privileged to do an outreach program for Native American learners in the plaza of Pueblo Bonito during the May 2012 annular eclipse, and we're planning to do a similar event for the eclipse in 2023. The annual eclipse also happens to coincide with the last day of the famous Albuquerque Balloon Festival. So Punch Outreach plans to be there to film both events for use in planetarium shows on the ancient and modern sun watching theme. I want to say something about what is new about our approach to mission embedded outreach and how it is related to other NASA STEM efforts. This table offers a comparison between old and new pathways to mission embedded outreach. Punch is taking the new pathway shown in the right column, and I'd like to focus your attention on the first 5 rows. Punch responded to an opportunity offered by the Heliophysics Division of NASA to propose an outreach plan after the mission was selected. The old pathway shown in the center had candidate missions mandated to create an outreach plan as part of the mission selection process. For Punch, after NASA approval of our outreach proposal, our mission budget was supplemented to carry out the outreach program. In former times, the candidate mission budget had to cover this cost up front, and some considered this a kind of tax. Referring now to rows 9 and 10, in the old days, formal education was an important part of mission embedded activity. These days, it is not. In the olden days, there was little to no connection between mission embedded outreach and the NASA group that worked with the news media. But these days, there can be a really strong and synergistic connection. The Venn diagram here represents how mission embedded outreach can play well with others in the NASA STEM landscape of today. In the lower left, the orange circle represents the group that works with news and social media outlets. This is called today NASA Communications. Every selected mission has a communication plan. When I was given the opportunity to review this for the Punch mission, of course, my comments emphasize the opportunity for outreach and comms to coordinate efforts and find common ground, such as those listed in the handshake between circles 1 and 2. For example, we could collaborate on a new video to tell the fuller story of the human renderings of an active solar corona with that Chaco petroglyph I described earlier. In contrast to communications, outreach emphasizes involving scientists and mission team members in partnership with outreach professionals and institutions like planetariums and science centers. Outreach events at such public venues can put scientists in more direct contact with diverse learners. And such events can also serve as bridges to other NASA STEM efforts. These are represented by the lower right circle. At outreach events, we can provide inspiration and leads to programs that offer deeper engagement with NASA. So for example, citizen science programs or internships. And Punch Outreach has done its homework about what is in that lower right circle and has important advisors and dissemination partners in that handshake shown between the circles 2 and 3. And now our 8 guiding principles that are enabling Punch to realize the unique benefits of an outreach program being closely integrated with a NASA mission. These principles may be of value to other scientific leaders and outreach professionals considering whether to pursue support for mission embedded outreach programs. Items 3 and 4 have been well discussed previously. I'd like to emphasize our first principle. It's hard to overemphasize how important it is to have a senior level of outreach expertise in the role of the outreach lead. For mission embedded outreach to work, the outreach lead must be able to communicate confidently with mission leadership and with the science team. And I think it's fair to say that a mission PI should select an outreach leader with the same degree of care as a project scientist is chosen. The outreach lead needs to be capable of accomplishing everything listed in items 5 through 8 there to create and implement an excellent outreach plan. And I'll flash through these. Here is on the left and the map of the amazing institutions that are participating in the Punch Outreach Collaborative. We are pooling and leveraging our strengths to produce outcomes and outputs far beyond what a single institution could do for the same time and money. On the right there is a map of the same Four Corners region where our Native American and Hispanic partners are located. Here are the 5 types of events that Punch Outreach will develop to reach the participants listed at the upper left. All events will draw on the common collection of resources listed in the central circle. And what's really interesting to us is that our efforts to be more inclusive of girls in STEM and blind and visually impaired and Native Americans and Hispanic youth and families are leading us to create a richer, multi-sensory, multicultural experiences for all learners. So everyone benefits from these efforts to be inclusive. We expect to reach hundreds of thousands of people in our 5 years of effort and perhaps millions in subsequent years as all of these products and event planning guides will be made available to the broader community beyond our Southwestern collaborative. So our products are designed to endure. They're all related to our ancient and modern sun watching theme and should endure beyond the eclipses and beyond the Punch mission itself. This is the logic model for Punch Outreach. I just wanting to share the gestalt of it. It conveys the logic of how our inputs and activities result in measurable outputs and outcomes that contribute to greater societal benefit. As the quote at the top says, it's not rocket science, it's harder. And it is. And so to do an outreach program well and right, you need a good outreach lead and a good evaluator who can collaborate to create this kind of logic model. Our PI says it well. He likens our logic model to a traceability matrix that is used in mission design. And thus it's clear that Craig appreciates the rigor and professionalism of our efforts. 1 and 2 are the most important of the 8 guiding principles. It's really important to synergize the science, outreach, and communication teams. This requires an outreach-friendly science team and the expressed support of mission leadership. We certainly have an outreach-friendly science team. Punch Outreach definitely benefits from mission leadership that is genuinely supportive of outreach and of the outreach involvement of mission scientists. This is a screenshot at a recent Punch science team meeting. The science team is very outreach friendly. Over 85% of 30 of them indicated in a poll that we conducted about their outreach interests and experiences that they love to communicate their science to diverse audiences. The outreach team can provide high impact opportunities for them. We have this polling data about the diverse outreach roles that our scientists would enjoy playing that go beyond just outreach presenters. They can be facilitators of access to data, scientific consultants on visualization for our planetarium films or other outreach products, mentors for a Girl Scout troop. There are a number of diverse roles for the diverse interests that our outreach, that our science team members have. And so we're there. Our outreach team is welcome at all of these science team meetings. We get to learn from each other. We learn about each other as human beings. And this sort of team building between science and outreach teams helps to maximize the benefits of embedding an outreach effort inside a mission. Sometimes Craig really needs to assert the expectation of coordination among science, outreach, and communications. And it results in some very positive outcomes. One of those was our first outreach presentation to the Night Sky Network. The talk was prepared collaboratively among Punch science, outreach, and communication teams, and it worked out to be a real home run, consistent with the key messages in the comms plan, adapted for the audiences, sensitive to common misunderstandings, conveying the personal enthusiasm and broader humanity of the presenter, providing inspiration and pathways to Punch outreach. And our website, very proud of our website. The outreach is fully integrated into this website. It reflects the respect for outreach professionalism in spades. And we're very happy that you notice the inclusion of news about outreach achievements right alongside mission news. And in conclusion, asking yourself, do you want to do an outreach program for your selected outreach mission? If no, collaborate on that comms plan. Your bases are covered, no shame in that. But if you want to do more to promote your mission and to leverage it for societal benefit, then identify that outreach lead with strong professionalism and collaborate with them and support them to develop and submit a plan for an outreach program. And by all means, make use of consideration of our 8 guiding principles. That's what we're doing to realize the fullest benefits of mission-embedded outreach. Thank you for your time and attention.